Hi everybody, this is Julie. We're going to be making bread today, and I want to show you all the different ingredients and tools you're going to need. So this is my KitchenAid mixer with a dough hook. You can absolutely do this all by hand. I prefer having that little extra bit of help. So this is one of my favorite tools for making bread. I will also be showing you how to knead by hand in case you're going to do this completely manually. I also want to show you the ingredients that we're going to be using in the bread. So this is the starter that has been fed over the course of a few days. If you know from my starter video, which is in the previous post, I keep it in the fridge, and then a day or two before I'm ready to bake, I start feeding it. I take it out and give it some flour and water. For this bread, we're going to be using a combination of einkorn flour, which is really nice, soft, silky texture, good flavor. Spelt flour, which has a really nice, hearty, earthy kind of a flavor. 1 Degree is a great mill. They have tons of different kinds of sprouted flour. When you use sprouted flour, just know that you need to use it fairly quickly. It has a shorter shelf life. And you can always tell by smelling your flour whether it's good or not. It'll smell rancid if it's not. And then the last ingredient is going to be this whole wheat flour from King Arthur. It's got a very high protein content, which means that it's got a lot of gluten, and we want that for making bread. Gluten is what makes the little pockets that the air created by the yeast start to fill up, and that's how you get a light, airy bread. Commercial bakeries often add what they call dough conditioners into their bread, and that's what makes them more soft, more pliable. And I'm going to do the same thing here, but I'm going to be using all natural ingredients. So that's gluten that you can get in the bins at the natural food store, and this is the whey, W-H-E-Y, from my homemade soy yogurt. I'm going to be posting that recipe soon. But again, it has a nice buttermilky flavor, and it makes the dough really soft. The final ingredient is going to be salt. I use pink Himalayan sea salt. You can use kosher salt. You just want a coarse grind. And the ratio to remember is 1/2 teaspoon of salt for every cup of flour. That means that you're going to be able to modify your recipe in any way you want, adding different kinds of flour once you know that salt to flour ratio. For this recipe, I'm using 1 cup of whole wheat flour, 1 cup of einkorn, 1/2 cup of spelt, and 1/2 cup of gluten. Together that makes 3 cups, so I'm going to be using 1½ teaspoons of salt. And before I add in my wet ingredients, I'm mixing all of these things together with a spoon. And that way, when the wet ingredients go in, everything will be uniform. I'm adding in liquids now, starting with 1/2 cup of starter and 1/2 cup of that whey from the soy yogurt. And I'm going to mix that together first just to see about how dry or how wet the dough becomes, and then I'll know how much extra water to add in. You can see with 1/2 cup of whey and 1/2 cup of starter, the mixture is still crumbly and dry. I'm going to begin adding in water, just a little at a time. Okay, so now all the dough has been incorporated. I've gradually added in about a cup of water, and I encourage you to really get in there with your hands like I'm doing. Feel what it's like. The whole process of learning to bake bread is really very tactile. You're going to get in there and knead at some point anyway. I'm just doing this to demonstrate to you. I'm not really in the kneading stage yet, but you can see how sticky this is. It's sticking to my hands. I just want you to know that that's normal. As the dough rests and as you work with it, it's going to get less and less sticky. And so that's the next phase that we're going to do right now. We're just going to let the dough rest. I'm going to cover it up and let it take a 10-minute nap before we get into any kneading. So our dough has had a nap and now we're ready to begin the kneading process. I'm going to put the KitchenAid mixer on 4. It's the second setting. And I'm just going to let it knead for somewhere between 6 and 8 minutes, and then I'm going to finish it off by hand. Okay, so we've got the bread dough that's been in the mixer. I'm going to show you what to look for in terms of doneness, in terms of kneading doneness. So I've just got it down on a floured surface. It's starting to feel pretty good. It's still a little bit sticky, which is not a bad thing. I'm just going to take a little piece off of here. Oh, the husband is home. So I'm doing what they call the Windowpane Test. And I just want to see if I can see through this. A little bit of light. I can. This really is very much ready. And I don't want to overwork it, but I do want to show you the technique for kneading by hand. So you get flour on both sides. I just had a little flour on the cutting board. Get flour on both sides. Don't do this on marble. Marble is cold and you want this to be warm. And you want to stretch the dough out. So I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but I've got one hand at this end and I'm just stretching it all the way out, folding it back in, stretching and folding, stretching and folding, stretching and folding. Again, we're creating the elasticity that's going to be the outside of the balloon. The inside is going to be the air created by the yeast. So you're going to do this until you can grab a piece. You can see it's pretty elastic. And stretching it between your fingers. Actually, it could go a little longer. So you see how it's got holes in it. What we really want is for it to hold together. It's how we know that the balloon is strong enough to hold all the gas. We want it to hold together. Yeah, no, it's not working. Okay, it does need to be kneaded longer. So I'm gonna go at this a little bit longer. I'm not gonna make you watch the whole thing. I'll be back when we're ready and I'll show you what the Windowpane test really should look like. So here we have a Windowpane test. I'm stretching it very thin and you can see light through it. That's exactly what we want. Now I put my dough in the fridge for a few hours and let it get cold, and then I allow it to come up to room temperature. This creates a really long, slow ferment, and that's what makes the bread taste delicious. Time is the best co-chef that you have when you're making bread. To make a bread with a really good crust, you need to start with a very hot oven. So I've set my oven to preheat at 500 degrees. When I put the bread in, I'm going to turn it down to 425. So we usually want a really crusty sourdough bread. The way to get that crust is to start pulling the dough taut. I'm flattening it out, and I'm going to start pulling it taut down toward the bottom, just going in one direction and then the other, pulling and pulling. Don't worry about what happens at the bottom. You're going to get this really lovely, very smooth surface around the outside. When the dough bakes, all of that funky pulling that you see happening on the inside is just going to smooth out too. So you want to end up with a nice, very smooth ball, just like this. So I've got a little bit of cornmeal, and I'm going to put our beautifully formed dough ball on that baking sheet, parchment lined with some cornmeal, just so that nothing sticks. And I'm going to let it sit there and do its final rise on top of the oven. I've got a little scan pan that I'm going to put in the bottom rack. That's going to get super hot. I'm just moving this rack down to the center. That pan at the bottom, I'm going to put some ice water in, and it's going to create steam, which also helps form the crust. So here I go. Just make sure I'm not going to burn my hands. Woo, sorry. So here's the ice water, creating some lovely steam to make a beautiful crust. I'm just going to let that sit in the oven while I do this final step before the baking. Now, it's really important to score the loaf. You can do it with a razor blade, or I'm just using a serrated knife. You want to be gentle with it. Again, this is full of air now, like a balloon. So I'm just very gently creating a score, and I'm going to go in both directions. So as soon as I finish my vertical, I'm going to go horizontal. And this gives the bread space to expand as it rises. Otherwise, you'll get some kind of weird, like poofy spots where it cracks its own crust. So you're telling the bread where you want it to rise instead of letting it just pop or explode in weird places. So that's the final stage. I've got a steamy oven. I'm sticking the loaf in, and I'm going to turn the temperature down now to 425, and I'm going to let it bake for about 35 minutes before testing to make sure it's the right temperature. Wow, okay, so that is beautiful, golden, warm, and we want to make sure that the bread reaches an internal temperature of 200 degrees or more. So be careful, watch your fingers. 200 degrees is hot. And I've got a little thermometer that I use. It's a digital one. So I'm just checking to make sure that it gets to be at least 200 degrees. And that's how I know for sure that it's done. Oh, look at that golden brown goodness. And yes, we're at 195. It's just going to keep going up. So the bread is done. I've let it cool for a while. It makes this wonderful sound when you tap it. You could play drums on it. And with my lovely serrated knife, I'm going to cut into it because I want to show you what the inside looks like. Oh, it's tough. Not in a bad way. It's a crusty crust. So I just want to show you the crumb. Oh, wow. So there are all those little tiny air bubbles. It makes the bread light, really tasty. I can't wait to bite into this one.